start to dominate this football game.
A lot of people found that quite irritating. Under a minute and a half left in the half, and second and goal on the 4, Cam Scatterbo. How much fun is this guy?
He's so physical when it comes to running the football against this defense. Now, one of the plays that stands out, it's third down. They kind of get a blown coverage from the Giants defensively. Jalen Hurts and Devontae Smith just not able to connect.
Yeah, one of the turning points in the game for sure. And meanwhile, Scatterbo doing his thing, just keeps fighting here.
I like the fact that down on the goal line, they don't try to get too cute right now with New York. They're just hand the ball to number 44, allow him to run through people, get in the end zone.
And the gymnastics, as always, after the score. Eagles 2nd and 10 on the 15. He's trying to throw to Saquon Barkley, but is picked off by Cordell Flott.
Or all-out pressure, and Flott sits on that little out route, and it's a huge turn of events because you think Philly's going to go down, score, get right back in it. It's a massive takeaway for the Giants defense.
It had been 305 consecutive passes without a pick for him. First and goal at the 1. Once again, Scatterbo.
Yeah, there it is. The physical presence of this offense is completely revamped in a matter of a couple weeks.
Giants win 34-17. Here's Lane Johnson.
The execution isn't there. We get behind the chains. I get very predictable. At the end of the day, we got to be able to keep the defense guessing, not be predictable.
I don't get into it's predictable or pointing fingers. Like, I'm not going to – I think KP's doing a hell of a job. But we all got to be better. And that's just the truth. And if anybody else thinks anything different, they got to wake up.
There's always lessons to be learned in these things, and it's a lesson. We got to choose to learn from it.
All right, you heard Dano. He's with us. Mina's with us. RC is somewhere making his way after first take from New York to Bristol.
Parkway.
We're not sure exactly where he is, but he'll be here soon. Dano, maybe the Eagles aren't sure exactly where they is. Where are they? What concerns you the most?
I mean, there's a lot, but right now that's just too predictable. And when you are a gun-centric football team, 99% of the time, last night there was only really one snap underneath the center, there's tells that you're giving the defense of what more than likely is happening. I've talked about this, just the predictability of where Saquon is in alignment to Jalen Hurts. If he's a little bit behind, teams defensively are like, we're thinking run. Another opportunity, Saquon, he's behind Jalen Hurts. Those defensive players are teeing off on the run. And then when you go into the pass, because if Jalen and Saquon are hip to hip, you're thinking pass. A lot of their pass concepts are the same thing. This is early. They run that little stick and out route. A little bit later, they run that little stick and out route. Teams are now not only anticipating pass, but what kind. You go into that late third quarter drive or early fourth quarter drive on that pick, it's the fourth time they ran basically that same concept to the same side of the field, and Cordell Flott is just sitting there waiting for that pick. And so, and I'd say this. Right now, there's a predictability with pre-snap what they're going to do. And then there's a predictability of post-snap what they're going to get to. And the butterfly effect is this isn't a play-action passing football team. So they're fourth least play-action pass in the NFL. So if you're a team and you see they're in the gun, which they are all the time, you're really thinking, I'm getting a quick game pass, I'm getting an RPO, which is really the same type of RPO, or we're getting a run. We're not making the defense think about all the potential plays that you can have. Way too predictable offensively.
Yeah, Dan, Saquon Barkley is being contacted behind or at the line of scrimmage on over half of his carries, 6th highest rate in football. Last year, that was 29th. You've, I think, correctly identified some of the reasons why the run game is predictable, but I'll throw another one. Part of the reason why this gun-based run game worked in the past was Jalen Hurts himself was a threat to carry, and you would see linebackers impacted. I don't think they're concerned about him carrying the football this year. When I watch them, they are crashing down on the back, and when he does keep it, he's just not punishing them to the extent that they're creating some uncertainty. That's how, if you're a gun-based running team that runs a lot of zone like Philadelphia, you win with numbers if your quarterback's a threat. Like, I don't know, the Washington Commanders. Correct. But right now, the quarterback's not a threat to run the ball. I think this whole thing has to be like ripped up and redone. The run game in particular, but is what I'm talking about, because at the moment, the offensive line, there's some injuries there. Obviously, they're not getting the kind of push they did. But I think the bigger problem by far is what you are talking about, which is defense is completely keying in on Saquon Barkley and not being afraid of anything else.
Yeah, which is exactly what Lane Johnson said. I mean, he just spelled it out, like we're too predictable. We have to mix it up. Is it realistic? Mina talked about tearing this thing kind of down to the studs. Can this be fixed quickly?
Oh, there's no doubt. This is a very well-coached football team. Sirianni and the Eagles have been here. I'd say this, though. This team is realistically 2 snaps from being 2-4. If you go back to a CeeDee Lamb drop in week 1 and a blocked field goal against the Rams, it's not just offensively that they don't necessarily look themselves. This is one of the most shocking things so far this season. Offensively, they have 47 negative plays. That means a play that goes for no yardage or less. That leads the NFL. Defensively, they've only created 22 negative plays. The Philadelphia Eagles, who pride themselves as a line of scrimmage organization, that margin of 47-22 is 25. That's the worst in the NFL. So we're talking about a team that right now offensively, and that's what Lane's talking about, behind the chains, too many negative plays. And then defensively, they're not kicking butt up front like they did certainly last year. We've talked about their 4-man
they
rush.
dominated Kansas City in the Super Bowl.
It can be fixed, absolutely. It's going to take some really difficult conversation. And here he is.
Yeah, the defense is less worrisome to me because it's not like a...
Sorry, Mina. He made it.
Oh,
yeah.
Hey.
Are you,
Brian?
Are you even...
My thing came off.
Do you even have your audio equipment on? How long was the drive?
4 hours.
4 hours from the city. All right, can Mina bring us in? Mina, while he's getting mic'd up with an assist from his dear friend here, turning it around in Philly, how quickly can it happen?
I think so.
Are you good?
Yeah.
You need a chair.
Ryan, I was about to talk about the defense. The defense isn't as worrisome to me as the offense, but I think they do have their own problem, which is they're just very top-heavy. Last night, they lost the 2 most important players on the defense, Jalen Carter. I guess Zach Bond I would put in that group too, but Jalen Carter, Quinion Mitchell. And you saw that there's kind of a lack of depth behind them. So, I think they'll be fine when those players get back, and then Nolan Smith at some point should help that 4-man rush. But this is not a particularly deep unit. They have some stars that they desperately need to be on the field.
All right, have you caught your breath?
Yeah, I'm good to go.
Weigh in?
I was being a little dramatic. I actually walked just from over there. I love what Mina's saying, though. I heard Dan, though. He talked about being able to create negative plays, right? And also being able to do that on both sides of the football. They don't have the people right now defensively. Like when you look at this team without Quinion Mitchell last night, also we obviously knew that Jalen Carter was sidelined. Who's going to make the special football plays? Who's going to turn the football over? How are they going to get pressure on the quarterback? And Jackson Dart had his way. The most disappointing thing to me last night, though, was watching their defense tackle Scatterbo as the night went along. And I'm talking about starters, veterans. He brought the physicality to them. And it reminded me of 2 years ago before Vic Fangio got there, how we turned the tape on and people weren't running to the ball, right? They weren't arriving with physicality. They weren't tackling well. And we saw that last night again, that the Giants seemed like the team that wanted that football game more.
Yeah, it was so great. I mean, it's been such a desert, right, for Giants fans, and this is really, really exciting what they saw last night. So let's take a look at that, because they're starting to find their identity, and it's behind rookies like Jackson Dart and Cam Scatterbo. They really took it, to RC's point, to that Eagles defense on the ground. 4 rushing touchdowns, their most in a game since 2010. Their 172 rushing yards, a season high. 111 of those came before contact, to your point. Scatterbo, 3 rushing touchdowns, most by any Giants player in a game since Ahmad Bradshaw back in 2011.
He looks like Ahmad Bradshaw when he runs.
Does,
44,
right?
Yeah. 44.
Here's Dart after the win.
At times there's, some negativity that's surrounding here. And, for us, like, some of the new guys that are coming here, like, we just got here. So, we don't feel like we were involved in the past. And we got a lot of winners on this team and guys who come out every single day and work their ass off to put on a good showing on Sundays. And, we do feel like we're a really good team. We have really good players.
Yeah, what stood out to you about this Giants team?
First off, man, they got so much riz right now, right? Like, this team has so much charisma. They are fun to watch. And then the other piece of it is, too, the most telling sound of last night's game, if you were watching with the volume on, it wasn't that Jackson Dart was coming back onto the field. It was when they booed Russell Wilson. Now, Russell Wilson is possibly a future Hall of Famer. It's not like he can't play the game. But Jackson Dart had injected so much excitement, so much energy into this team, so much belief and so much hope. And I think that's what you see in the way they play. There's a desperation in the way they strain, but a composure in the way that they execute as young football players. And when you see the way that now Cam Scatterbo and also Jackson Dart has galvanized not only this team and organization, but this city, it's inspiring to watch. And I want people to realize Darius Slayton wasn't available last night. Obviously, Malik Neighbors is on injured reserve. Lil Jordan Humphrey seemed like one of the top wide receivers last year, along with Wan'Dale Robinson, and he watched them make it work the entire night.
Yeah, involved all of those guys, Mina or Dan. We're getting our signals crossed. Dan, can they continue to win games this way with this style of play?
With that quarterback?
Yeah.
Jackson Dart is already doing and answering the one question we ask about every franchise quarterback. Are you making people around you better? And that's what you're watching. And when I watched him last night, there's glimpses of early Josh Allen, early Lamar Jackson, Baker Mayfield. I'm not saying he's those guys or going to become them. But when you watch him move in the pocket and you watch some of the playmaking with his legs, there is a part of me that goes, he probably doesn't necessarily know what he's looking at right now. Like he doesn't see the pressure. He doesn't see the coverage rotation. There might be a guy open, but goodness gracious, he's finding a way to make a play. And this is like early Josh Allen in his career where you're like, can you run around that much? Can you make another play with your legs for that offense? That's Lamar Jackson early in his career. Did he necessarily see it perfectly? But the play result was a good thing. And then the reason I say Baker Mayfield is this. There's a fearlessness when this guy is out there. There's like, I'm not worried about what's going on. I'll reset and rip that ball to Wan'Dale Robinson over the middle. Or I'll find Theo Johnson. And the reason I say, are you making everybody better? I truly, truly, truly believe when this dude walks on the field, he thinks he's the best player.
Yeah, he's got a lot of swagger.
And somehow, Lil Jordan Humphrey walked on the field last night and thought he was the best player on the field. And Theo Johnson and Scatterbo. And now this defense is playing with juice because they're looking at it and going, we got a guy. We got a chance.
Yeah, that's right. They got their guy. Mina?
Yeah, a lot to like about this performance. His best so far in the NFL. One thing that I really liked was how well he threw the ball against the blitz. 9 for 13 for 99 yards. It should have been more. Actually thought his best throw of the night was like a bender to Theo Johnson that was dropped, but he absolutely ripped it. And what I love about this, guys, is you come into this game facing an Eagles defense that you really don't expect to blitz as much as they did, but Vic Fangio sent pressure on over 45% of dropbacks. So what that shows me is that Jackson Dart had a level of poise and also willingness to hunt mismatches in the face of pressure that maybe wasn't what they planned for going into this, and I think that's really impressive. The one thing I'll add, don't think they should be running him as much as they do.
Yeah, he's got to
I understand that's always going to be part of his game. He's a great runner. He's a great scrambler.
Yeah.
I thought they went a little bit too far in this game, especially when he came back out of the 10. I was shocked to see another design carry.
The greatest compliment I can give Jackson Dart right now is that Jackson Dart is good enough to save Brian Daboll's job.
100%.
Oh, yeah, we're not talking about that today, right?
That was Brian Daboll's pick. That's the guy that he believed in. You saw him say, that's our bleeping guy when he scored that first touchdown against the Chargers. And I believe that he also believes in Brian Daboll in the same manner. And watching those two together, the way that this has galvanized this team, it's going to be hard for them to let Brian Daboll walk out of the door with the way Jackson Dart is performing and allowing this team to perform around him.
And Joe Shane as well, the general manager. He's a young on NFL Live. Can you break down this highlight, Dan?
So this is a really good step up to the platform. Awareness, almost hop down, ACL almost goes, but
something fell.
We got a drag with the right leg there.
No, it's the left one. Remember, I hurt my calf Monday morning on first day.
So this is Irv's fault.
Yeah, this is a lot of injuries now.
This is Michael Irvin's fault.
This is Michael Irvin's fault.
You got injured doing television.
I got injured doing television. Not the first time.
No, not at all. We thought playing was dangerous.
In the studio, not the first time.
Well, almost. I bled in here.
Yeah.
All right, Corona limelight. So Brock Purdy missed the beginning of practice today. Just wanted you guys to see this. Obviously, he didn't play at the Rams last week. Mac Jones has done really well. 3-0 in his starts this season, but, he's kind of banged up, too. He has some knee and oblique injuries. So the Niners, again, that injury list is just something they've been able to overcome. So, Mina, how do you see Kyle Shanahan trying to game plan for Todd Bowles' defense on Sunday?
I think Kyle Shanahan is going to do what Kyle Shanahan does best, what Kyle Shanahan has done his entire career, and that's make these linebackers' lives hell. I mean, you guys have heard me talk about this now for years. I really feel like there's no single person who the NFL linebackers should be angrier at than Kyle Shanahan. But it's a big deal in this game in particular because the Bucs linebackers have struggled in coverage. They have struggled defending passes to running backs. They're 28th in DVO in that regard. And Christian McCaffrey, as a pass catcher, has been unbelievable this year. He's been the straw that stirs the drink in this offense, regardless of who's playing quarterback. So I would look for him to be targeted often, be targeted earlier. They're not going to run the ball on early downs against this Bucs defense. I think they're going to come out throwing, but CMC will be the focus.
Yeah, I think it's early. If you've watched these Mac Jones starts, there's a conscious effort to get McCaffrey the football early in the game. Yep. I mean, look at the numbers. Yeah. If you go back specifically even to like the Rams game of Thursday night, and I think the thing that kind of blew my mind, the Rams defensively, it didn't have a specific plan for Christian. Like, I think if you're Tampa Bay defensively and you've watched since Mac has started these past 3 weeks, there's got to be a very specific plan to start this game to take McCaffrey away, whether he's in the slot, whether he's in their screen, whether it's part of some of their checkdowns. And you got to remember, McCaffrey very rarely goes out through the line and sits down in front of the football. There's a constant scrape across the line of scrimmage. And so I think Tampa's just got to have a very, very specific plan, because I think if you can do that, then it's what's plan B or plan C early in the game for not only Kyle, but Mac.
Yeah, he has at least 100 scrimmage yards in every game this season, McCaffrey. But you know who else has injuries? The Bucs. Woof, look at this. New on NFL Live from Shefty. They've ruled out wide receivers Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, along with Bucky Irving, out again for Sunday's game. I mean, this is an offense that managed 38 points against the Seahawks without Evans and Irving. So what do you expect?
Well, what you're saying here about all these people being gone, you're playing right into the Tampa Bay Buccaneers' hands, right? So now we're just going to say, hey, let's just find Emeka Egbuka on the right matchup and get him the football. Now, it's going to be how often you can get Emeka Egbuka where you want him. Listen, they're young in the secondary. You have a young safety that plays. You have Upton, who's a young corner as well, and inside nickel. And so you can find ways to attack those guys. But to me, it's going to be about the screen game. What I did love about how they attacked Seattle was Cade Otton, Shad White, using those guys in the screen. But guess what? Fred Warner's there. And if there's anybody in the world that can not only diagnose but destroy a screenplay, it's Fred Warner with the way that he runs sideline to sideline, also forcing things back into the pursuit. So I want to see how they're going to find ways to get those things open and then use the one-on-ones with Emeka Egbuka and then also Baker Mayfield's ability to improvise to create second play opportunities.
All right, let's look at our picks. And here is our first. What did you want to?
What did you think my score is?
Yeah, 20 to 17 every single week. I don't think much. I don't really think much of your scores.
Feel good about it. I don't like this is happening a lot. Either we just are all real smart and study well, and then the players let us down, or we're just doing some dumb stuff because every week somebody got a picture of us up on their social media.
This one for me was strictly off location. If it was in San Francisco, I would have taken San Francisco.
Well, then they find a way to win, right? Last minute wins. Can they keep doing it? Nobody's ever done what they've done the first 4 games. Nobody's ever.
Whether it's a cover 3 deep thirds or it's that cover 2 or 2 safeties.
Somebody give my man a job. Absolutely. Don't take it from us.
Throw it, Dan. Not that, Dan. That, Dan.
He doesn't know what the defense is doing right now.
We were right. We'll see if we're right again.
We back.
And we are back on Foreshadow Friday. They always have a saying about the underneath coverage. They tell you, don't bite the cheese. The cheese is usually a snack, but with Jahmyr Gibbs, it can be an entire meal.
And it's going to be huge on Sunday how the Kansas City Chiefs have a very specific plan for Gibbs. 3 plays. Number 1, you're just going to see this little underneath action, okay? Now, what we offensively want is you as a defense to see ball fake, think run, but then eventually get out of there because here comes that play action pass. What I love from an offense is when I see you get in depth, this is easy for me as the quarterback and as the offense. I'm getting one of my best players and one of the best players in ball, the ball in space. Good luck trying to tackle him.
Okay, Dan, and what we have here as well, right? We have a cloud coverage to this side and we're going quarters here. So this backer needs to relate
to Jahmyr Gibbs. He also knows, though, if Jahmyr Gibbs goes outside, this corner should be triggering. Watch the way that he has to caddy corner and have his eyes on Gibbs, but also make sure that Jared Goff can't get the football up top to Amon-Ra St. Brown.
This is a vintage high-low. I love the fact that the Lions have that corner route going there, but then they're actually bringing Gibbs to the flat to put this corner in conflict. And again, Jared Goff doesn't even make the perfect throw here, but awareness of Gibbs on a check down, get back inside.
This is the problem, and this is what speed does. Watch how this backer is trying to rush to get outside, even though he should know he has leverage and pursuit that will be coming outside. Jahmyr Gibbs puts his foot in the ground, gets back up the field.
That's beautiful for the check down, okay? Number two, we can get into different pass concepts even though we're presenting the run. We have two backs in the backfield, Montgomery backside, and here's Gibbs. I love the dagger concept if I'm the Detroit Lions, meaning I want someone to run through the middle of the field, and I want one of those in routes to Amon-Ra.
And then what they're going to get from Cincy here, you're going to get a sim pressure where they're going to bring the corner off of the short side. So we're going to get a rotation where this back is going to have to lock on here and be on David Montgomery. Corner goes out, safety goes out to the corner. They're going to have to get number 3 to push here because look what Jahmyr Gibbs does to this backer.
Now, Jahmyr Gibbs, I told everybody he was in the backfield, right? This is the beauty of Gibbs. We line him up in the backfield, but then we'll bring him as a route runner out of it where he'll push up and run that pivot route. So even though I have this run through seam and that back in, that big in, I need to make sure that this defender is pulled down. I do it with Jahmyr Gibbs. He widened our arc releases, pulls that defender down, and there's that chunk throw. Hard to defend when he's coming out of the backfield from a defensive perspective. Last clip. Wide receiver.
Check.
What do we got?
Right now, I'm checking up top with Jahmyr Gibbs off the football. We know that we have a big body on the ball. I'm expecting something quick. And so if you're this corner, you have to be ready to trigger right away to force everything right back into your pursuit.
This is easy for us as an offense. If that corner doesn't trigger, I'm just pushing that ball outside. I love the point that you make. I got big body blocking little body, big body blocking little body, and then Jahmyr Gibbs, again, out in space. Huge play for us as an offense.
Run it back one more time, though. Look at Geno Stone as he approaches. He understands that they've set up a wall outside, but the speed is so scary, and you don't want Jahmyr Gibbs to get down the sideline. Watch Jahmyr set him up, dip him outside, and get right back in.
This is a beautiful job by the Lions using that chess piece. Jahmyr Gibbs on some of those easy checkdowns, we want that as an offense. On some of those pass concepts, when you treat him as a back, you treat him as a wide receiver, good luck. And then the easy stuff, kick the ball to the perimeter and go play in space.
Kansas City Chiefs and Steve Spagnuolo have to have a plan for zero because if you don't, he could be dancing in the end zone the entire day.
I love it, guys. Well done. Since 2023, when he came into the league, most touchdowns in the NFL, 36. That's how you get her done. All right, we're going to shift to the Jags and the Seahawks. Jacksonville off to a 4-1 start, as you know, hoping to follow up that great comeback win over the Chiefs on Monday. A clash of styles. Jags ranking top 5 in the league in rushing offense and yards after contact this season, but that Seattle defense under Mike McDonald, very stout when it comes to defending the run. So, Dan, who has the advantage when that Jags offense is on the field?
Well, I want to see if the Jacksonville Jaguars can replicate what the Bucs did. You know, the Bucs went at this defense in Seattle and said, well, we know you're good in the middle of the field, but we think we're better. And that early down, at-you play action where they vacated the middle of the field, Baker Mayfield absolutely killed the middle of the field. Now, ironically, the Seattle defense was actually really good at defending the pass game in the middle there, but I think what happened was a lot of the at-the-snap play-action passes where they pushed the ball vertically downfield caught Seattle by surprise. Now, the reason I bring this up, Hannah and RC, is this. Liam Cohen's the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. He came from Tampa Bay last year. Tampa Bay just did that exact stuff to Seattle. Josh Grizzard learned underneath Liam Cohen. So I'm like, if I'm Liam Cohen, hey, Josh, what did you do? Why did you do it? Can I replicate some of that? I think if you're Seattle, you got to be very wary because that's very difficult to fix in a short period of time. If I'm Jacksonville, I'm testing it early.
I love that, connecting all of those dots. RC, from what you've seen of the Jags defense, what do you think they're game planning for Sam Darnold and company?
Well, I think the first thing, you look at the Jags defense, they want to have vision to break. And much of what Dan was showing on the film is that just like Cincinnati, you want to have eyes to the quarterback. And when you have eyes to the quarterback, you can make plays on the football. Right now, Devin Lloyd, who's the leading candidate, in my opinion, for Defensive Player of the Year, has made so many plays on the ball because he can have eyes to the quarterback and have vision to break. How are they going to use that to affect Sam Darnold? Defensive coordinator Anthony Capinelli has done a great job of disguise, simulated pressure, also building in some drops for the defensive linemen and linebackers like we saw here with the Kansas City Chiefs on the goal line. They gave him a zero look. Devin Lloyd got into the line of scrimmage, backed right out into the hook. I love the way that they've utilized their sort of strategy on defense to say, we want to get the football. We may not stop you each and every snap, but we'll turn the football over to our team.
Yeah, Sam Darnold's been really aggressive throwing on zone this year over the middle of the field. You got to be careful against this Jags defense, to Ryan's point. I think from Seattle's perspective, in terms of trying to dictate this game on offense, I actually think this is a big 3 wide receiver game. Seattle does like to play a lot with multiple tight ends on the field. But when I look at this Jags defense, I actually want them in their nickel personnel with 5 defensive backs on the field. They're excellent in base, and that's part Jordan Lewis, who's been the best cornerback on this defense, kicks out outside. In nickel, I think they can hunt matchups outside the numbers, especially now that Jackson Smith-Njigba primarily lines up outside. They also, as you know, Jacksonville just traded for a new cornerback, Greg Newsome, so things are a little bit in flux there on the back end. So I think for Seattle, there's a real opportunity here to attack them outside the numbers with your wide receivers as opposed to living in those heavier sets.
And, and what you're talking about as well, think about it. Travis Hunter is not a full-time corner. When they do kick to nickel, he's utilized out there. But when he's not on the field, they've been searching for that other corner that used to play opposite of Tyson Campbell, which will now be Greg Newsome.
You also think about such a big win. Like, it was such a great night for them, but this quick turnaround now against not an easy team. And here we go. We are split on this.
Split is good. Split is good.
All right.
Split is good.
The guys are on the Jags.
Yeah.
The
This
smart
should be
people
split.
are on the Hawks.
Why'd you steal my score, Hannah?
Oh, I stole your score. I'm so sorry. I thought that.
Yeah, because nobody else can pick that
I didn't
score.
realize. I didn't realize
knows
that was
never pops up in
Leave the
football games.
laziness to me, Hannah.
It's like, oh, it's catching. No, I'm glad that I have the same pick as Mina because that makes me feel smarter. All right,
Definitely
time to
smart.
build out a play sheet presented by ESPN Bet Sportsbook. Okay, Mina, we're going to start with Sam Darnold. Do you think he's going to throw 2 or more touchdowns against Jacksonville?
I do. This sort of flows off what I was talking about earlier. I think Seattle can move the ball in Jacksonville through the air. I think that secondary has some vulnerabilities in terms of the cornerback position, and I think Sam Darnold, the way he's playing, will be able to take advantage of that.
Okay, so what about Jackson Smith and Jigma? Does he go for 80 or more receiving yards?
80 is a high number, but he has topped it in every single game but one, and that one it was 79 yards. I mean, the kid has been unbelievable this year. This is a yes for me in this game and almost every game going forward, Hannah.
All right, and give us an anytime touchdown scorer.
Go to the other team here, Jacksonville. I'm going to go with ETN scoring a touchdown. Jacksonville, you know, it's kind of hard to anticipate who might be on the receiving end, I think, of a score. So I think if they get in the low red zone, ETN's going to get the ball. They've been running it really well with him as of late.
All right, see, that's a smart play. $10 bet on the play sheet wins you just under $43. Thanks, Mina. Coming up, the Bengals are also started against the Packers in week 3. It was that scintillating 13-10 win before being traded from Cleveland to Cincinnati this week. Bengals have lost 3 straight, as you know, after starting 2-0. Here's Flacco on how he's been preparing during this whirlwind of a week.
I feel like I've done a good job. I mean, it's a little bit different to call because some of the terminology is a little bit different. I think that's the biggest issue is just kind of making sure I get in and out of the huddle the way I want to. I think once I break the huddle, I feel pretty comfortable. It's just a matter of getting in and out of the huddle and, just continuing over the next couple of days to make sure I can get even better at that. I've never had my wife kind of read stuff out to me. But the other night sitting in the hotel, I did have her, read some of the base game plan to me and have me repeat it back to her. She didn't do bad.
What a good wife, man. What a good wife.
That was nice
She's a
at the
football
end.
wife, man.
Clap it up for Mrs. Flacco, man.
She didn't do bad. Dan, give us a sense of just how challenging this is.
This is a huge challenge. Now, the advantage is Joe's been around for a very long time. He's been in a lot of different offenses. And reality is this offense in Cincinnati is very catch and throw to our guys, you know? So I do think that Joe's probably got this shrunk down playbook, and they're going to say, hey, Jamar's got a stop route, throw it to him one-on-one, or T's got a corner route, throw it to him one-on-one. So it'll be a challenge, but I think there's a shrunk down group that he'll know very cleanly.
Yeah, I think you definitely have to shrink it, but also they're going to rely on some of Joe's experience, some of his wisdom, some of his moxie as well, to be able to look at the coverage and understand where the best matchup is. My question for Dan would be, how much will they try to utilize the time that the microphones are on in the helmet to communicate with Joe about what they want?
Huge. They'll call a play, and he'll, call it as X, and he'll be like, hey, Joe, this is hammer to you. So he'll say, we call it Thorn, this is your hammer. So Joe will have a picture in his head of what the play should look like of his pass.
I just want to remind Chase is out for this game, too. So we just found that out today.
He's out?
Yeah, he's out.
I know they sent him home.
He's out.
Oh, wow.
He's out.
Man, Joe should have stayed in Cleveland being the backup, man.
There you go. All right, 2 locks and keys now. Something that's a lock that we think is going to happen, and a key, the key to the game. It's pretty self-explanatory there. All right, so we're going to start with Dylan Gabriel and the Browns at the Steelers. Mina, what's a lock in this one?
Aaron Rodgers is going to average 2.5 seconds time to throw. This is every game against the Steelers. Can your defense stop Pittsburgh's quick game? And we saw Minnesota, obviously, DK Metcalf had that massive catch and run. I think the Browns are capable of disrupting the Steelers' receivers at the line of scrimmage to force Aaron Rodgers to hold on to the football. But if they don't, then he can quick game them, to death. That's what this comes down to.
All right, what's the key, RC?
Me and Mina, it's kind of like one brain, but hers is like most of the brain, and mine's is like a little corner in the top. Like for me, it is protecting Aaron Rodgers. It's finding the way that when these plays are disrupted, when you get in longer downs and distances, to keep Myles Garrett and Jim Schwartz's pressure and that front four off of Aaron Rodgers. We know that he doesn't move the same. We know how low of a percentage he plays at when he is being pressured within the pocket. So if he can't get that football out quickly, the offensive line is going to have to step up and play much better than we've seen them.
So the large part of your brain is the only one on the Browns, because Mina picked the Browns. Mina, real quick, why?
I think they're going to be able to run the ball on Pittsburgh. Quinshon Judkins has been really good at breaking tackles, and I'm still very suspicious of this Steelers run defense.
All right. I love it. Okay, let's go to the Cowboys and the Panthers. Dan, what's your lock for this one?
Both of these teams are going to throw the ball downfield to their young receivers. Obviously, Ted McMillan in Carolina. He's been a guy that's made some plays on one-on-one opportunities. George Pickens, ever since he's become the guy, has done exactly that. And so the lock is whatever young receiver makes that big play or two down the field, that's the team that's going to win this football game. I actually think this has got a chance to be a good challenge. These teams are going to take their shot. Which young receiver makes the play?
Mina, what's the key?
For Carolina, just not get off to a slow start. In the first halves of games, this offense is 28th in EPA per play. In the second half, they've actually been average for the season, but they're falling behind, and that's a problem against a Cowboys team that if they're able to pull ahead, they'll be able to run the ball on him. You want play action to be on the table in the second half. So I think my challenge for this Carolina passing attack is not to cede a lead to the Dallas Cowboys offense, because you know that Dak Prescott is going to get his.
All right, let's take a look at our picks, and here we go again.
I'm going to touch on something Mina talked about. Mina,
the slow start.
I actually think Carolina should start the game with tempo. Start the game with no huddle. Start the game with a little urgency. That's what they've done when they've fallen behind.
Totally.
Come out with that, see if that sparks your offense.
I think Bryce is more comfortable there, and a lot of that game is played at a speed that he sort of controls as well.
Okay, I need a gong, a personal gong, because also, thank you for that, because, yes, you were correct. Jamar Chase was sent home from practice, but has not been ruled out of the game.
All right.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So you're
whatever. You need all the help they can get. Let's put it that way. All right. Now it's time for AI-generated fantasy insights provided by IBM. Dak Prescott, #1 on the Watson X boom list of players predicted to overperform this week. Prescott's high projection of 27.4 fantasy points leads all players.
Mina, you know that Hannah, you know that he's not on Dan's top 5 MVP list?
Wait, really?
But
Are you serious? Dak Prescott's not on your top 5 list.
He's playing absolutely fantastic.
But however.
Early on in my career, it's looked as cocky, immature. Now it's moxie. He's a dog. Same different day.
Sunday NFL Countdown, 10 a.m. Eastern on ESPN.
Kick off your Week 6 NFL Sunday, as Greeny just said, at 10 a.m. with the Countdown crew on ESPN and the ESPN app. All the early breaking stories, injury updates, previews of every game right up until kickoff. All right, this is new on NFL Live from Adam Schefter. Raiders officially ruled out tight end Brock Bowers for Sunday's game against the Titans due to his knee injury. It's been tough sledding for the Raiders this season. And more from Shefty. Chiefs wide receiver Xavier Worthy has no injury designation for Sunday night's game against the Lions. That's also an and is good to go after missing yesterday's practice with shoulder and ankle injuries. I love it when we, read the news and we get the reaction over there. Okay, what?
Non-verbal or verbal communication.
Exactly. It's going to be an awesome game. All right, Sunday night. What's the key to this one?
Well, if Detroit is going to line up and be who they are defensively, at least philosophically, playing man coverage, even though Terry and Arnold out and DJ Reed is out, you got to go after them if you're Kansas City. I have been somebody who's like, Kansas City, get under center and run the football. But if Detroit's going to line up and play man as much as they have this year, you got to go kill it. You got to kill it with your quick game. You got to kill it with your on-the-move screens to your playmakers out in space. You got to make sure that Patrick is aware to use his legs. That was a huge part of the game the other night against Jacksonville. And then you got to make sure that those guys are running away from coverage. I don't think that Kansas City is going to change their stripes, nor do I think Detroit will, even with those injuries. That should be an advantage Kansas City at home.
I mean, you got to get this into the deep waters, too, right? You go back to week 1 against the Packers. Detroit has been absolutely destroying teams. And you have to attack Amik Robinson. How does he hold up on the outside? Rock Ya-Sin, how does he hold up on the outside as well? But if you're the Kansas City Chiefs, man, you have to go win this football game. Matt Nagy, let's be creative. Let's use some of those rub routes, the catch and runs that we've seen often from guys like Xavier Worthy. This is a game where you leave nothing in the holster if you're the Kansas City Chiefs. And defensively, how do you come up with the play and also make them one-dimensional? We haven't seen that run game be as dominant for Detroit as we normally do. How does Steve Spagnuolo come up with the plan to create where they know they can get the rush to quarterback and that Jared Goff will be a willing passer?
I think Xavier Worthy being back for this game and being healthy is actually a sneaky big deal because of the opponent. You really saw last year down the stretch, second half of the season, he became such a weapon for them against man coverage, particularly on those quick outbreaking routes. But also Andy Reid is so fantastic at creating picks and rubs. You talked about it, bunches. He'll motion guys and challenge them to communicate in man coverage and create traffic over the middle of the field. And Worthy, to me, is one of the players. He's got that true elite run after catch speed to take advantage of that. But if they don't play a ton of man coverage and maybe they change things up because of all the injuries in the secondary, I think they just have to make them communicate on the back end out of zone. Dan, this to me could be a big quads game for Kansas City against this secondary, but I think they're going to come out throwing, and I think now they have not the quite full complement of weapons, but enough receivers to attack them in a number of different ways.
This is a really hard game to pick, right? And we're split on it. So there you go. Yeah, RC and I are on the Chiefs. Dan and Mina are on the Lions. RC, why do you like the Chiefs?
Well, I just think the Chiefs have to win, right? And I believe that this is one of those games where what Patrick Mahomes can do with his legs and the opportunities to attack backups on the back end gives them an opportunity to be explosive offensively.
If Kansas City wins and Detroit plays man, it'll be because of Xavier Worthy having a big night.
All right, there you have it. Mina, great to be with you today. Guys, RC, I'm so glad you made it.
Made it.
That was awesome.
Hey, got up in here.
Have a great weekend, everybody.